Welcome to a presentation to learn a little bit more about the effort to bring a public utility district here to northeastern King County. We'll talk a little bit about why we would want to do this and steps about how to get there. Now, as long as the power is on, we don't usually think about our electricity, but maybe it's time that we did. To get some grounding, let's talk briefly here about what an electrical utility is. So an electrical utility is an organization that owns infrastructure that delivers electricity from generation sources to customers, so transmission lines. Electrical utilities either generate their own electricity that goes on those wires, or they purchase electricity from other generators to sell to their customers. Now here in and around King County, we have a few different types of utilities. There are cooperatives like Tanner Electric out in North Bend, which is a small group of customers who basically got together and situate themselves and acquire their own electricity. You have municipal organizations like Seattle City Light that are run by the city council. So the city council serves as the electrical utilities board of directors. You have investor-owned utilities like PSE, which are for-profit companies. And then you have public utility districts, which are generally countywide or part of a county, and they serve all of the residents in that particular geographic area. They are run by an elected commission made up of PUD voters, and that serves as their board of directors. Now, PSE, like I mentioned, is an investor-owned utility. It is operated for private profit. It's not traded on the stock market at all. Investor-owned utilities here in Washington are about 20% more expensive than public utilities for residential customers. They're considerably more expensive for industrial and commercial customers. PSE over the past about 10 years has had reliability that has only been diminishing. And PSE is really hard to hold accountable locally because of its size, because of the scope and the heft that it carries here in Washington. And here are just a few ways to sort of visualize some of the information that I just gave you. You can see there PSE has worse reliability than many of its peer utilities. Those investor-owned utility rates are consistently higher than those of public utilities. And this makes a lot of sense because, you know, if you're operating for profit, that profit has to come from somewhere. One other important thing to know about PSE is that they're really heavily invested in natural gas and have been for quite some time. Now, the tricky thing about natural gas is that moving forward, it's going to be more and more and more expensive than other renewable options like wind and solar, the prices of which we've seen drop much faster than anybody expected. And the interesting thing about wind and solar is that you don't have to go find it, right? You know that the sun is going to show up. You know that the wind is going to blow. It's why you site those facilities where you do. Natural gas always constantly has to be found. You have to explore for it. You have to drill it out. You have to transport it. And then you have to burn it. So natural gas and new natural gas plants are already more expensive than comparable wind and solar installations. And that's only going to become more and more so the case. So not only is PSE more expensive now, but we have every reason to believe that they will continue to be more expensive as they continue to invest in, to really double down on those natural gas investments that they've been making over the past few years. They're even proposing to build a new natural gas generating plant as late as 2026. Which brings us to another point, right? PSE is really dirty. Their electricity was 66% fossil fuel based in 2019, and they emit more greenhouse gases while generating that electricity than all other electrical utilities in Washington state combined. Now, I did say that PSE is a large entity here in the state, but that's still a pretty, I don't know, frustrating fact. And you can see that they've only gotten worse over time, which is also really kind of frustrating, right? You can see that back in 1997, they were 45% renewable. They relied really heavily on those hydro investments. As early as 2007, so 10 years later, they were only 42% renewable powered. And despite investments in wind, what PSE has done is they've actually expanded their gas portfolio and used the wind resources that they've acquired to just decrease the amount of hydro that they're using. So they were actually cleaner in 1997 than they were in 2019. That's really the wrong direction we need to be going in. Not only is it going to be more expensive, but frankly, our climate cannot stand and will not tolerate these continued levels of carbon emissions. And these investments, you can see, put Washington in a really challenging position, particularly when you look across the rest of the country, right? So this is a map that shows changes in carbon dioxide emissions from 2016 to 2019. And up here in Washington, our energy got much dirtier when most of the rest of the country got much cleaner, right? And some of that can be traced back to drought conditions that were present in 2016 to 2019 and decreased the amount of hydro available. But it's really, a culmination of the kinds of investments that PSE has been making, right? If they had been investing more heavily in wind or solar or other renewable resources, they wouldn't have had to fall back on those gas resources that they really would prefer to use. So the question is, what should we do about this, right? We have unreliable, expensive, dirty energy, and we think we should form a PUD in East King County. Why? Well, because public utilities are clean, they're transparent, they're more affordable, they're locally controlled, locally accountable. As you can see, East King County residents elect PUD commissioners, and the commissioners direct the PUD. Those commissioners serve as a board of directors. So they would, make some important decisions about policy and direction of the PUD. And then they would hire general managers and folks who really know the utility business inside and out to actually handle the day-to-day operations of the utility. Now, to get there, we have to collect 30,000 signatures from residents of the proposed PUD between January 2022 and July 2022. We will have a digital signature option. So that's really exciting because it will let us connect with people who, might be uncomfortable sharing pens with other people as they go in and out of the grocery store, which is how so many signatures have been collected previously. It also just lets us reach people where they are, right? I mean, we vote by mail. We do so much of our other political activity from the comfort of our own homes. It seems sensible that we would be able to do some research and sign on in support of a ballot measure. Once we collect those 30,000 signatures, we submit them to the Secretary of State and the county. Those election bodies verify all of those signatures, just like they would with pen and paper signatures, make sure that they all match up with registered voters. And then that places the PUD measure on the ballot in November 2022. At that point, if we convince a simple majority, so just 50% of proposed PUD voters to vote yes in November 2022, that establishes the PUD. At that point, in that election, we will also have elected new commissioners to serve as the directors of the PUD, and they'll go forward and negotiate with PSE to purchase the relevant infrastructure, as well as, like I said, staff the PUD, figure out what other generating contracts they'll need, really get all of the ducks in a row so that the PUD can hopefully start operating probably in like 4 or 5 years. That's the most recent time frame that we have. Jefferson County shifted from PSC to a PUD in 2013, but voters passed that measure in 2008. So we're looking at, a 4 to 5 year time frame, just based on what we know from recent history. Now, if you're wanting to get involved, you can obviously volunteer with us. Email us at volunteers@ekc-pud.org with any skills that you have, even if you're just interested in spreading the word. We do have upcoming webinars. The one on September 23rd is already passed, but we do have one coming up on October 2nd at 10 a.m. on a Saturday. And if you're watching this after October 2nd, please check our website for more information about upcoming events. In the meantime, please spread the word about the campaign. We're a very grassroots effort, and we really are going to rely a lot on our supporters and their networks to get the word out so that we can build the kind of energy future that we need and that we want, right? Who wants to pay more for electricity than they need to? You can sign up for our newsletter on our website to stay up to date with the campaign. We're also pretty much always fundraising. Currently, we are fundraising to get more tools and more materials so that we can start doing some more of that outreach. We also are looking for funds to secure the signature option. So if you're interested in donating, you can do that on our website. If you have any questions, you can always email us and contact us through our website as well. Thanks so much for your time today, and I'm looking forward to building a better energy future with you. And there's our website, ekc-pud.org. Thank you so much.